Thank you guys for tuning in to the virtual candidate forums hosted by Teaching for the Culture. My name is Bianca Goolsby, and I'm the founder, and I'm here to say thank you for being here, for being engaged and being intentional with who is going to be in our school board seats. Our children deserve the best, and we want to make sure that you are operating and you're listening very closely to what these candidates have to say. Thank you guys so much for following us. Make sure that you take a look at our website, www.teachingfortheculture.com. In addition to that, follow us on social media at Teaching for the Culture. Just a couple of rules. I want you guys to relax, have fun, and also be intentional with what the candidates have to say. If you post your questions, we will screen it. And if we have enough time, we will make sure that those questions are addressed as well. Thank you to the community that have submitted questions to us, and we are excited to get started.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Pinellas County District 4 School Board Forum hosted by Teaching for the Culture. My name is Kimberlyn Jackson. I'm a veteran educator and educational consultant and advocate. I'm happy to be here with you tonight and ready to facilitate tonight's discussion. So let's get started. Teaching for the Culture candidate forums follow a nonpartisan, unbiased, and impartial format. Time limits for all comments will be strictly enforced. In fairness to all candidates and the audience, we ask that these limits be respected. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening remarks to introduce themselves. So that we can address as many questions as possible in the time available, each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer each question. If time permits, candidates will also have 2 minutes for a closing statement. In fairness to all candidates, we'll rotate the order of how these questions are answered. We will get started with the opening statements. But first, we'd like to inform our viewers that we invited Chris Hardman multiple times with the information published on the Supervisor of Elections website. He did not RSVP to be here tonight. So if you have any questions for Chris tonight, please use the hashtag #WhereIsChris along with hashtag TFTC for Teaching for the Culture District 4 with your questions. So we'll get started with Eileen.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
Doing very well. So very excited to have you here tonight.
Well,
before we start talking about specific issues and discussions about District 4, I'd like for you to go ahead and do your opening statement to introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, my name is Eileen Long. I am currently on the school board for District 4, but before being elected, I spent 33 years in the classroom. I am a special ed dropout prevention teacher, and I am a mother of 2. One is already a graduate of Pinellas County Schools, and I have a son that's he'll be a junior this year at Dunedin High, and my husband is a teacher. He teaches at Osceola Middle. So we're kind of always dealing with education. It's in my heart and it's something I love. I'm passionate. After I retired, I'm old, but I'm not that old. And I thought I have a lot more to give. And this is a perfect way for me to get involved in all the communities.
Awesome. Thank you. So if you will, talk to us about what do you believe the role of a school board member is?
Well, obviously we make the policies, but I think a school board member needs to be more than that. I think they need to be active in the community. I go out and I talk to people. I like to have little chats where I practice the restorative circles. I want to get parents and the community engaged in our schools. It's not just the students and the teachers. The whole community, all of Pinellas County, should be involved with our schools. This is the foundation of everything. It's the foundation that are going to keep businesses going. It's going to keep our property values going. Education is everything. It is the starting of anything else that you look at. And I believe that, and I want to hear from the community. So I have been out. Even though I'm District 4, I've gone all over the county listening to people. If they call and they say, Eileen, I want you, I go right on out.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. So, talk to us about the unique skills that you bring to the board. Do you have a unique perspective that you feel might be unrepresented or absent on the board?
Well, I was educated to look at the whole child. I don't believe in teaching the subject. I mean, if you're a great math teacher, wonderful. But you got to have more than just that teaching skill. You got to build relationships. You have to understand who's in front of you. And not that teachers don't do that, because many do. But some are taught that their subject is the most important thing. I don't believe in that. I believe that the relationships that you form are the most important thing, because a child will work much harder for you if they believe and they trusted you. And I think that goes back to my special ed background. You're not looking at the subject, you're looking at the child. And the type of children I've worked with over the years, you have to have that relationship or you're not going to get through. You're just not.
You know, Eileen, I am a professional development facilitator in Hillsborough County, and I absolutely live in that vein that you're speaking of. So I appreciate you
Yes.
bringing that to the forefront.
I started in Hillsborough, and my first principal, I was 21 years old. That was the first thing he taught me. This isn't really about teaching. You will be successful if you know your students, they know you, and you know the families.
Mm.
And we've gotten to the point that we're so afraid if you hug a child or if you engage with the family, oh, you know, they're going to report you if they get mad at you. You can't be afraid of things like that. You have to really get to almost, it's like adopting children. My own children, when they were younger, they'd say, how many kids does your mom have? My daughter would go, oh, about 500. And they'd look at her, because my students were my children, and they still are, even though they're grown up.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I don't have any kids of my own, but I definitely have had hundreds
And you
throughout the
feel like
years.
they're yours, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, our next question comes from Teaching for the Culture. Talk to us about the difference between equality and equity.
Equality, you're looking at everything. I don't think they should be. I always said fair is not equal. Sometimes some students need more. Other children don't need as much. As the educator, you have to figure out what each child needs, and you have to adapt yourself to that many roles in your classroom. You know, I taught a class from 18 special ed students. Every one of my students was different. So every time I sat with one of them, I was literally changing so that I could meet their individual needs. It's not easy, but it's absolutely necessary so that children, they feel comfortable and they're not afraid to try. Because by the time kids get to school, especially middle school, they've seen a lot of failure. They come with a lot, and you have to break that down and let them get used to you and then work with them. And sometimes it takes a long time, but you can do it. I don't think there's any child out there that is not teachable. I really believe that with all my heart.
Amen to that. Also, spent my career in middle school, so
So you understand.
I can absolutely relate. So, what do you see as the district's greatest challenges, and how would you work to address them or continue to work to address them as a school board member?
We still need to close the achievement gap. We're on our way, but we're not there yet. I still, in my heart, believe we need to engage the community more. Now, one thing we just voted on is we are buying computers for every child, first through 12th grade. And we are also committed to this new technology, and I'm not the best technology person, so forgive me. It's the learning management system. That's great because it's going to help some students fill the gap. But if a child, we've learned this past few months with the COVID, not every parent is computer savvy. And now you're taking these computers home, and if a little one doesn't know how to use it, or even a high schooler, because my son was in that same boat, how do you expect the child to be able to do it if the parents don't have a knowledge of the program? So I'd like to see community training where small groups of parents can sign up, and maybe a group of 10 bring their children's computers at night, and we're teaching the parents how to use the full programs that are available. Because if the parents can't sit with their child or understand what their children are doing, and they're the cheerleaders for the kids, they need to have the knowledge too. And it's one way also, I feel very strongly we need to be inviting to all parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so parents should not be intimidated or feel, some parents feel uncomfortable. You come into a school and you have all these adults looking. We got to find a way to be more inclusive and bring them in and make them feel part of it and make them feel secure with it.
Yeah, I definitely hear you on that. And in that vein of thinking about things being inclusive, it's well past time for the Florida education officials to re-examine and reinvigorate the 1994 infusion law to truly prioritize Black history and ethics studies for a new generation of students. If you are reelected, what is your plan to ensure all students will receive Black history education as required by this law?
I think that's important that we go back to teaching history. I also think we need to include more African American authors in our. There are so many wonderful books, and I'm going to be honest. A lot of them I didn't know, but because of my daughter, she was in an IB program and she had to learn all these authors. She started introducing me to some of the greatest books I've ever read. They, I mean, I as a white person, I can never fully understand or truly feel what an African American woman went through in our history. And as I read these books, it helps me see how our history evolved. And I think all students should be, I don't want to use the word force, but they should be given the opportunity. I think it should be mandated that a lot more of these books be included. Because you've got some wonderful authors. And I think we have to go back to teaching history, not not social skills. We need to be teaching history and teaching it from every point of view, because we can't erase our past, but we can learn from our past. We can see the mistakes we've made and change from there. I was able to teach history 3 years in a row in 8th grade. I felt out of place at first, but it was the greatest challenge. And I found that middle school kids were much tougher on themselves when it came to teaching civil, the civics. I gave them each an assignment that they had their own island. They had to come up with a name and the governing rules. wow, were they tough. Kids understand. We don't give them enough credit for being very intelligent and understanding a lot more than you think they do at young ages. I think we need to go into the lower grades. They don't even teach history in elementary school. And they
So
should.
how would you use your position to change that?
I'm working with one of the directors of social studies and history. I think we need to change state laws. Now, they are doing civics, and they're expanding that. But I think we need, at least by fifth grade, to start teaching American history. Why are we waiting to eighth grade? It should be taught at younger. My children were very aware of things when they were in fifth grade. They had some misunderstandings that I was really upset about because I tried to teach them to be open-minded and understanding. And I think it would have benefited both of my children if they had gotten it at a younger age. So I would really push to see that happening. We should have maybe the study of the Constitution in fifth grade because they understand it. Let's start talking about voting and your rights in a fifth grade classroom. They can handle it.
I agree. Thank you. So my next question is just a bit of a slight shift. How would you develop or continue to maintain the relationship with the district to better understand teacher perspectives and what works best for students?
I think we need to have more dialogue with our teachers. We wait. One of the things that I'm really against is making policies and changes without going to the people it affects, the people that are teaching it. There was a good example about 2 years ago when they took health and they wanted to put it in PE. I wasn't against doing that. I was against the fact that they just said they're going to do it. And they never asked the people that are most affected, the teachers. How do you feel about it? What will children miss if we change this? I really, and I guess that's my teaching, you got to start with the people that it matters. That's the people that are teaching our children. Let's get them engaged in these changes. Let's not wait to the very end and bring them in. I think that's really not a good idea. And teachers don't buy into it. If you're shoved down your throat, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that, but you don't respond. Just like with restorative practice, let's get their opinions. Let's have them be part of the process, and you will get more buy-in because they feel like they're part of it. I did. And I really believe others do. That's what I'm hearing from teachers. I'm always on the phone or going to visit schools. I think that makes the teacher successful when they feel a part of the changes that are coming.
And my next question is actually right in line with that. Share the work that you've done or visits you've made to elementary, middle, and/or high schools in the community you plan to serve in the past year.
I have been all over the county. I was elected to District 4, and I have really pounded those schools. I visited all the elementary, all the mid. Well, not all the elementary. I'm missing a couple. They are. I was going to visit all of mine, but then I started getting a lot of calls from Middle and South County, and people were asking for me. And I thought, well, if they're feeling that strong that I'm someone they can talk to. And really, once you're elected, you serve the whole district. You're on the school board. You're not just Area 4. So I started going to South St. Pete, middle of the county, a lot of special ed centers because they know that that's where my heart I'm good at that. I have been all over. This is not a part-time job. I've made this a full-time job. It's my choice, but I feel that's the most effective way to make sure everyone is heard. And a lot of times people just want someone to listen to them. So I make sure I get out everywhere. And I will continue to do that. I think it's vital.
Very nice. So let's talk a little bit about your 90-day plan. So can you provide us a snapshot of what it will look like for this next term if you're reelected for the first 90 days?
It's not going to depend on COVID-19. This is a challenge because I don't know. I'm not 100% sure yet if I feel comfortable with letting kids go back to school.
Yeah.
But even if they're not going back to school, I can still visit teachers and, call for little group areas. I can still go visit administrators in their schools. I'd like to keep working on some of the programs that I've started. I'm very active with vocational education. I really feel we need to keep building our vocational programs because not all students are college material, and that's okay. We can't try to shove everyone into this nice, perfect little package. We're all different. So I really want the vocational education to grow. We're doing an excellent job, but we need to expand it. Kids are going to college, spending thousands of dollars, coming out with huge debt, and they can't find jobs. So vocational school, I can tell you for a fact, a lot of my students went to vocational. They make more money than I ever will. And I think that's exciting. My own son will probably be more vocational than college, and I am perfectly fine with that. As long as he can go and be an active citizen and provide and engage in the community, that's what we want of our students.
Yeah. So you mentioned equity earlier when we asked you to define it. What would you want to see in the superintendent's budget to address equity and ensuring all children receive an equitable education?
The budget basically goes along with the strategic plan. And I want to see all schools have an opportunity to provide magnets that they feel will help their community. We have started reproducing some of our magnet programs. For example, we had Ridgecrest as a gifted center. Then when we took over Midtown, we made that a gifted program. So now South County, Mid-County, and this past year we opened Alicia Nelson. That helps so that children should not be on a bus for 2 hours to get to a school of their choice. St. Pete, a lot of kids wanted to go to Tarpon High before we redid the veterinary program. Now we have a veterinary program in Mid-County. We have one in South County. We need to do more of that. We need to make sure that every school has the same quality equipment. If a North County school has all smart boards in their classrooms, then the South County and the Mid-County, they all should have the same thing. They might not all use them the same, but they have to have the opportunities to have everything the same. And I think some of the schools, they need more money to address beginning more magnets. Like I know Lakewood, they're thinking of doing a new magnet. And the teachers, it came from the principal and the teachers. I think the board should support it. If the community feels that's what's important, then we need to do that.
Mm-hmm. So we have some data that we've been looking at. According to the latest FSA data, 72% of our third grade students were not proficient in reading. And we know that reading is the foundation of a strong formative education.
That's right.
What is your vision for reading instruction in this district, and how do you plan to accomplish it?
We need to start at a younger age. A lot of, pre-K is really the up and coming area. We know that when a child goes to a good VPK program, they have a better chance than a child that hasn't had that opportunity. That opportunity should be made for every single child in Pinellas County. They need to start out on an even playing field, and they're not. And so I think that's where we need to start. We need to test more. We need to test kids and give them an opportunity to be involved in the gifted program. Even if they're not exactly at the right number, if they're close enough and the teacher feels that there's enough, family support and they can handle it, we need to give them a chance. The children who are not progressing up to speed, this new program I was talking about with the LMS, there's a lot of games. I actually played some of them just to see. They're excellent learning. Kids are with their technology. You even see the little ones on their iPhones and all. These games are educational. They're doing the phonemic awareness because a lot of kids miss that. You need that for your reading foundation. These games are helping children learn. And the kids, they are having so much fun, they don't even know they're learning. And that's really important because my son had a hearing loss and he did not get the phonemic awareness. So I have a reading endorsement. Even though I had special ed reading skills, I went back and I studied to even learn the newer skills. And really centering in on phonics and the phonemic awareness. A lot of children don't hear the sounds right. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get that foundation, sorry, you're not going to be a good reader.
Yeah.
And I think these programs that they have in the county, next Wednesday, I'm going to go read for a little community in St. Pete. It's a pop-up. I don't know much about it, but when the woman called, I said, oh, awesome. I think community leaders should be doing more reading out there for the little kids. There should be more Saturdays where kids can come and listen to adults and engage in the reading. Mm-hmm. I think that would, excite kids more. Get them away from the TV. Sorry. And get them away from the iPhones and the iPads. They're wonderful. And I let my children have them. Sometimes it was easier to give it to them than I'm sometimes a bad. But I think, showing them, modeling for them. Mm-hmm. Even middle schoolers love to be read to. And I think, but the younger we do this and the younger we get kids thinking reading is fun, you're going to see a lot of the reading skills coming up. It shouldn't be a task. They go, oh, reading again. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kids, if they don't get it right away, they get frustrated. So they don't want to try because they don't want their peers to, look over at them.
Mm-hmm. I love that you are talking about taking the lead on that, because my next question is really about that. So what experience do you have in being a change agent for Pinellas County schools, given the discussions in our country about racial equity, racism, and the likely economic impact of COVID?
I truly believe you need to lead by example. If your mouth is saying one thing and your behavior is saying something else, you're not doing what you preach. So I really believe in leading by example. That's why I'm out visiting the schools. I tell them, I call because I think that's respectful to let a school know I'm coming. But I tell them flat out, I don't want the dog and pony show. I'm here, but you don't have to put on an act for me. And I sit down with the administrators first and I tell them I'm not here to evaluate you or the teachers. I just want to see what's going on and then hear what the teachers are saying. And then maybe we could all come back, come together and work on maybe some things that I've heard aren't so great. You can't make change if you don't have dialogue. And true dialogue, where both sides are listening and engaging. Otherwise, it's just the quack, quack, and that's as far as it goes. And so I'm out there doing it. And the district knows. I may know I don't like to be told you're too emotional, because I've heard that from some. Of course I'm emotional. I'm a teacher. I'm a parent. You have to be emotional and passionate if you're going to make change. And you have to believe that all children are teachable. All children are capable. And they all want to be successful. No kid wakes up and says, this morning, I don't want to be successful. I'll just be a bad kid today. That doesn't happen. And a lot
I think you've been in some of my trainings, Eileen.
Well, I remember one child, she made it to my class. Now, school started at 9:30. It's 11:15. She's been in the office 8 times. She gets to me. She walks through the door. The minute she walked through the door, I knew something was wrong. I came to find out that the night before, she saw her cousin murdered. Now, why did it take till 11 something for somebody to figure that out? Why didn't somebody in the office, or the first time she got in trouble, why didn't the teacher say, what's going on? We wouldn't have so many, kids being kicked out. They don't set out to be bad. It's things that happen that cause the disruption. Let's get to the bottom and work with them. After I found out, my heart just broke. She sat next to me the whole period and I taught, and I've got my arm around her and other kids are saying, what's happening? I said, it's okay. We'll talk about it later. And we did. She wanted to share and talk, but you got to take that into consideration. We're human beings. They're not little robots. They're human beings.
Yes. They are little people. And when you talked about that passion, one of the things that we are really passionate about at Teaching for the Culture is closing the achievement gap. And I know you mentioned it early, so I want to provide a little context for our viewers. Yes. Pinellas County Public Schools has 18 schools on the state's list of persistently low performing schools. So I'd like for you to describe the achievement gap in the district, and also what can you do as a school board member to influence change in that area?
We did. We had one school that the state came down and they were about to take over. Mr. Cochran did visit the school, and he did realize that the state was a little too harsh. Even we're bringing the grades up, but we still need to make that connection with the community and the families and the school. That saying, it takes a village. It does take everyone to raise a child. And the education field are not the only experts. Parents understand their children. There's a lot of young community leaders out there that are not yet parents, or they might not choose to be parents, but they've got a lot of knowledge and could help. I'm getting older. I'm almost 60. You take a young person in their 20s and 30s that have lived it recently, they have some remarkable ideas. We need to be willing to take those individuals and talk to them. I love going to young professional groups and hearing what the young people have to say. It's enlightening, it's invigorating, and it keeps me going. And I think we need to do more of that. We are not the experts. We might have some more education in education. They've got a more life experience, and they've been through it. So let's get them involved. And I really am pushing for that in Pinellas County schools. I think this board, after the November election, could look very differently. And I think you need a variety of people. And even though people might not be on the school board, does that mean they shouldn't be part of the decision-making process? I think they should. We have even students' rights and responsibilities. And it's like your top kids in a school. Well, why can't we have some of the lower to mid-range students be part of it as well? Why are we always looking at the top? The top doesn't know everything. Oh, don't tell my daughter I said that, but she was the top. And then my son, he's not the bottom by any means, but he struggles. But when I sit down and talk to him and his friends, because he chooses kids like him, it's amazing what they can come up with. So that needs to be part of this. We don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. Let's go out and find them.
If you, Eileen, could paint your vision for education for the community and for District 4, paint that vision for us, but also tell us how you expect to be held accountable for moving the district toward that vision.
I'm going to use examples in Dunedin and Tarpon Springs.
Okay.
Because they're different than Palm Harbor and Eastlake. And I don't want to insult anybody, but Tarpon Springs is a very diverse community. And upon election, I did the Martin Luther King parade that first year, and I met some incredible people. I am so active in the Tarpon Springs Martin Luther King Foundation and Scholarship Committee. I eat, breathe, and live it. And my job as a school board member, when I went on the board onto this Martin Luther King Foundation, I want to bring the community and the schools. I want the young people. Some of those kids don't even know they know Martin Luther King is a day off, but they don't know who he is. Same with Dunedin. So I'm working very closely with these two districts to try to bring the kids and the community together to learn from each other. Dunedin was starting to sink. We had some schools that were, if we looked the wrong way, they would have become a serious problem. So I worked with the city commissioners, and we developed a program called Growing Greatness in Dunedin. And I'm making sure that the schools have magnet programs that are interesting to the kids in the community. Dunedin High, I'm getting the sports teams. I'm the basketball mom. Don't ask me. My son's made the team, and that was more just because the coach is so wonderful. But Coach Key says, come on, you become the basketball mom. So I got the kids in the community. It's amazing how they want to engage with older people. So I think I want to keep doing that. I want to make sure that's going to help, because if kids feel that the people out there care about them, and that's what we're showing in Dunedin and Tarpon Springs. I've got the elderly involved. a lot of kids just to have, parents are so busy nowadays, to have like a grandparent figure, even high school kids. See, if you get everybody involved, we all have ownership in this.
Mm-hmm.
And ownership, it makes it, you believe in it more and you're going to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
So that I really am out to keep building that. What we've done in Tarpon Springs is phenomenal. What we've done in Dunedin is starting to grow. But to have that, the MLK, we're out there. We do a breakfast every year. The kids are helping me. The kids are calling me saying, Mrs. Long, what can I do to be part of this? That's amazing to me. And kids are starting to understand what it means to have a civic duty. And I don't mean just high schoolers, middle schoolers, even some parents are bringing their elementary kids. That's going to make good leaders someday. Mm-hmm. Some of those little ones, watch out when they come up. They're tough.
I love how connected you are to the community, and your passion is definitely shining through, even as I'm looking at the comments. I'd like for you to take a couple minutes to just kind of summarize and leave us with some parting words about how you feel about running for school board and why you're doing this.
It is the biggest honor I have ever served. I thought being a teacher was phenomenal. I thought being a mother was the greatest gift anyone could have. Both of those things have made me who I am. Now I can take all of the wealth that I've received. I love people. I love people. This not hugging and keeping social distance is literally driving me crazy. But this is a passion. I've made this almost a full-time job because it's what I believe in. I want to continue what I've started. Pinellas County is a good school district. It can be the greatest school district if we don't give up on ourselves. We can't, and we can't fight with each other. We've got to come together and, like I said, lead by example. And it has to start somewhere, so why not with me? And so I'm extremely passionate about this. Yeah. This is just the greatest gift anyone could have, is being elected to the school board. I mean, it means a lot. I'm so grateful to the people of Pinellas County. And I want to give everything I can back to them. This is my community. This is my home.
Well, I thank you for putting your heart on the line and allowing us a view into what makes you up and what drives you in the work that you do. And again, you have some fans over here in the comments that are they are attesting to the passion that you do bring to this position. So we definitely want to thank you for joining us tonight and taking some time to talk to us about your platform and to answer our questions. And we want to thank those of you who are watching that have hung out with us for the past little bit to get to know more about Eileen. So on that note, we are going to go ahead and close for today. We do have a poll that will be posted for you so that you're able to make your voice heard, community. The results will be posted on Monday. If you would like to see the results live, you can tune in to Morning Tea and Allegations by following Bianca Goolsby. I'd like to thank you all again, and thank you, Eileen, for the pleasure of speaking with you today.
I want to thank you and Bianca. This is a wonderful organization. I've done some research. You've started a great organization. There's so much that people can learn from you.
Yeah.
And I hope you engage with the school system. I'd love to bring you in if reelected. I think we need your guidance. both of you. You're phenomenal. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And that's affirming for us to know that this work is making a difference. As you know, sometimes it is not so easy, but we absolutely appreciate that and would be more than happy to take you up on that offer. So thank you so much. And again, community, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.